All right, first video. How you going? Welcome to the Garage Technicians Workshop. We're working on my 5th gen Prelude. So it's a 2001. The trim spec is a VTI-R. I've had it since I was a teenager. It was my first car and I've loved it and it's run awesome ever since. The only thing I've ever had to do to it is rebuild the power steering. When I got it, the previous owner had just done like the air conditioning and everything, so it made it a lot better. But I decided to restore it, essentially. When I had it, at the state it was in, it was like the paint was peeling and it was just not pretty. It was not in good shape. I'll give you a bit of a look around the car and sort of what's happened so far, and then sort of where we're at and what's kind of happening at the moment. Yeah. So the car is in a bit of a stripped state at the moment, as you can see. Front end is basically completely disassembled. Pretty much the only panels that are left on the car at this point are the front quarter panels, the door cards, and the doors. Front quarter panels and the doors. So pretty much everything has been stripped off it at this point. All of the panels that have been taken off have been refinished and redone. And now it's just a matter of prepping the rest of the body. Obviously the sunroof has come out already. And then we did do quite a bit of engine stuff as well. So I'll walk you through a little bit of some of the bits and pieces that have been finished. But at the moment, it's pretty much bodywork is the name of the game. This is the front bumper, which is the last body panel that I have to finish off. So it's taken quite a while. I have to admit that the front bumper has been probably one of the more challenging panels that I've had to work, just because it had so much damage, particularly around here where the license plate mounted, because for whatever reason, when they brought this in, instead of using the provided holes or the bracketry, they just decided to put self-tappers in it. So awesome, fixed all that. But every time I would fix it, I'd put another coat of primer on it, and then I'd discover more things wrong with it. So I think it's at the point now where it's pretty much done. I'm just waiting for the weather to play nicely with me, and then I'll be able to spray it and put it in its final coat of primer. Essentially the plan for this car at the moment is I wanted to get it to a point where everything is running mechanically perfectly, everything's dropped and replaced, and I'll walk you through sort of what we've done over there as well. But prepping everything for paint, getting everything into primer, getting everything filled and prepped so that all we have to do is load it up onto a trailer and then get it painted. So I'll show you very quickly the interior. So I have pulled these door cards out probably 3 or 4 times at least at this point, because unless both door cards are plugged in, the windows don't work. So I've had to reinstall that quite a few times, but it's got a full sound system, and then tweeters, door card, everything, and then touchscreen head unit with, I think, a CD player and stuff in it as well, but obviously I can run it off the cable. The seats are rather worse for wear, particularly the driver's seat. The driver's seat's probably the worst. The passenger seat, the rear back seat, does have a bit of damage as well. So my plan, I was going to call up the leather doctor and see what he can come and do, but otherwise, everything else is in pretty good nick. So I'm not too worried about the interior. I mean, obviously I've been trying to clean up what I can as it comes in and out, but I'll detail it, I reckon, once everything's finished. But I'll show you quickly as well the spare room with all the bits and pieces in it. All right, so spare bedroom full of parts at the moment. So you can see the hood refinished, some of the internal components for the front bumper as well that have all been redone, bits and pieces from the door card, with the wiper shroud that's all been redone, side skirts, rear bumper spoiler, all of the side mirror bits and pieces as well. So all of that's been refinished and ready to go. Front grille. These window sills, I was really happy with how these came up. This was actually, I got it back to bare metal because it was all rubber, obviously a rubberized coating over a metal rod, and the rubber was just destroyed, but I actually managed to knock it all off. And that is Flex Seal spray rubber. So thank you, Phil Swift. Boot lid, all refinished as well, looks great. The headlights, I think, are the one thing in this room that are just, they're just too far gone. because I've refinished them before. I have sanded them back and then clear coated them, and I've done that probably 2 times, and they keep yellowing out. But the cracks are the big issue at the moment as well. They both have quite significant cracks in them, as well as the mounting bracket on the top here is broken on both of them as well. So neither of them actually sit solid. They both rock in their position. So I'm gonna have to get some new headlights for those. The issue with that is that headlights, at least in Australia, to get headlights for the Lude at this point, pretty much the only option is to ship them from the US. I have found some that are a bit cheaper, but they just look really cheap. They look like what they cost, so I don't really want to pay, still $400 or $500 for ones that just don't look great. I am trying to go for more that like OEM plus sort of style, but we'll get back to the car. I'll show you what I'm sort of talking about. Okay, so engine bay. A good bit has sort of gone on in here. I'll show you, well, first of all, the thing that sticks out the most is obviously this bright red coolant piping. That was one of the first things I did. The coolant piping was a bit rubbish and all gone, so I replaced it, and obviously being 16 and thinking that it's super cool, I had to go with red piping. So there's that. I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to change it back or not yet, because it doesn't look terrible, but it does sort of stick out a bit, particularly with this sort of OEM plus look I'm going for. And then the other big thing I did as a teenager was install one of these. I think just like every teenager with a few tools and too much excitement does, paid way too much money for it. The thing with these cars though is that the airbox on these, they actually port to like a duct that goes down into the wheel well. So the stock box pulls some of the cleanest air that you can get, and I obviously didn't care. But I've seen a lot online as well that, these factory boxes, they are far more efficient. They pull air a lot better. They pull much colder air, and I trust that. So I have replaced the filter in it with a high performance, one of those K&N high flow filters. So I think that's going to be a lot better. Obviously I've redone the valve cover. We've installed a cross member bar a strut bar to try and get it a bit more rigid across the front. Redone a lot of the covers and bits and pieces as well. I'll put some photos up as well of when we opened this up, because we did replace all of the seals and bits and pieces under there as we were going. And this car has 260,000 on it, and the inside of it looked honestly unbelievably good. We couldn't believe how good it looked inside. But we did do like an oil flush and everything out of it, and it was all clean and really good. New filters, all bits and pieces. We redid some of the wiring as well, because this car does have a light bar on it because dark roads. And the headlights that were on it were just terrible. So instead of buying new headlights, I thought let's put a light bar on it. So it's got a light bar across the crash bar on the front. But yeah, otherwise everything's been pretty good. The only thing that I have at the moment that is frustrating me is that I noticed on the bottom of the car, there is a very, very, very slow coolant leak, but I cannot for the life of me figure out where it's coming from. All I know is that when I get underneath the car, after a few minutes, a little tiny drop of coolant starts to accumulate on the bottom back right corner of the oil pan. I cannot figure out where the hell it's coming from. I will figure it out. I just don't have a lift. The plan at the moment is I'll get the whole car prepped and everything ready for paint, get it resprayed, and then before I put the car back together, I'll take it over to a mate's place and we'll get it up on a lift and figure out where the heck that coolant leak is coming from. But plenty in the overflow for now. It'll be okay, but something to deal with in the future. But yeah. I did almost forget to mention as well, we did rebuild the clutch, because I found that the slave cylinder in particular was not cooperating very nicely. I think you can see it down in there. It sounded awful. I think the push rod on it was just terribly worn out, but it was leaking a bit of fluid and stuff as well. So we replaced that. That's all been redone. And then also the slave back there we touched up. The master back there we touched up. I don't know if you can really see it, but That's been redone as well, but brand new slave cylinder, brand new push rod, all been re-greased and so forth. So I have only driven it a very, very short bit, and by very short bit I mean like in and out of the garage since doing that, and I've only really done it once. But I have to say that the clutch feels magic, so good. So yeah, happy with that. This here is the most recent development. So I've just redone the horns because they didn't look terrible, but they just had quite a bit of surface rust on them, and they weren't black, and I would like everything to be black. I want it all to match. So, you know, it did not need to be done. This is purely cosmetic. This is just for the love of the game, but they were right there, and I know that you can see them even once the once the bumper is refitted. So I just wanted to redo them, make them look really nice. So that's kind of the most recent thing that's been done, and then obviously the hardware for them have all been galved, if you want to focus on it. So nice galvanized hardware, that's what we want. But I'll probably end up reinstalling those bits and pieces soon. I want to let that paint harden a bit more before I put any tools on it. But yeah, it's kind of where we're at. Okay, so that's kind of the current state of the Lude and where everything's at. And yeah, so thanks for watching. That's kind of the intro, the cover. So over the next few videos, the main thing to do now will be bodywork. So I'm going to be prepping all of this for paint. So in the next video, you'll see I'll pull the car out of the garage and we'll start sanding the whole thing back. We'll probably start filling a few of the spots. I know there are some pretty sizable dents, particularly towards the back end. So we'll deal with those, and I'll bring you along with me to do that. And yeah, whatever else goes wrong. Obviously the ultimate goal, like I said, is to get it all into primer, and then we'll take it down to a spray booth and we'll get it sprayed. So you can come with me as I learn how to do that as well, because for the life of me, I cannot get a good flow on a spray gun to save my life. The pressurized spray can is my crutch. So that is something that I really, really need to work on. Yeah, but so yeah, in the next video, you'll see me, I'll pull this car out of the garage. We'll probably give it a bit of a pressure wash, try to clean out some of the gunk and stuff that's left over in the engine bay. Mask over that, and then yeah, we'll get the body sanded up and ready for a bit of primer. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.